Namaste, Hamesha Kushro Bitia. I am JVN Dr. Pinakshi, Assistant Professor in Department of Shalakya Tantra, Faculty of Ayurvedic Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Today in this session, we will discuss the pigmentary glaucoma. They are the types of secondary glaucoma. We have uh, discussed in previous sessions the types of secondary glaucoma, in which we have studied the lens-induced glaucoma, that was a phacogenic glaucoma, then glaucoma due to uveitis, and which had two types, hypertensive and post-inflammatory glaucoma. And now we will discuss the pigmentary glaucoma. It is a type of secondary open-angle glaucoma where a logging up of the trabecular meshwork occurs by the pigment particles. About 50% of the patients with the pigment dispersion syndrome develop glaucoma. The pathogenesis of pigmentary glaucoma, the exact mechanism of pigment shedding is not known. It is believed that perhaps the pigment release is caused by the mechanical rubbing of the posterior pigment layer of iris with the zonular fibrils. Then the clinical features of pigmentary glaucoma. The condition typically occurs in young myopic males. The characteristic glaucomatous features are similar to primary open angle glaucoma, which is known as a POAG, associated with the deposition of pigment granules in the anterior segment structures such as iris. The posterior surface of the cornea, which is called the Krukenberg spindle, trabecular meshwork, ciliary zonules, and the crystalline lens. Gonioscopy shows pigment accumulation along the Schwalbe's line, especially in Fearley. Then the line is called the Sempulesis line. Iris transillumination shows the radial slit-like transillumination defects in the mid-periphery, which is a pathognomic feature. Then treatment, it is exactly on the lines of primary open-angle glaucoma. The next type of glaucoma is a neovascular glaucoma, NVG. It is an intractable glaucoma which results due to the formation of neovascular membrane involving the angle of anterior chamber. Then the etiology of the neovascular glaucoma. It is usually associated with neovascularization of iris known as the rubiosis iridis. Neovascularization develops following retinal ischemia, which is a common feature of diabetic retinopathy, central retinal vein occlusion, sickle cell retinopathy, and Ehlers disease. Other rare causes are chronic intraocular inflammations, intraocular tumors, long-standing retinal detachment, and central retinal artery occlusion. Then the clinical profile. NVG occurs in three stages: pre-glaucomatous stage, open angle glaucoma stage, and the secondary angle closure glaucoma. The pre-glaucomatous stage is called the stage of rubiosis iridis, and the stage of open angle glaucoma stage due to the formation of a pretrabecular neovascular membrane. And third is the secondary angle closure glaucoma due to goniosynechi resulting from the contracture of the neovascular membrane called a zipper angle closure. Then the treatment of the neovascular glaucoma is usually frustrating. The pan-retinal photocoagulation may be carried out to prevent further neovascularization. The medical therapy and conventional filtration surgery are usually not effective in controlling the intraocular pressure. The artificial filtration shunt, known as the Seton operation, may control the intraocular pressure. The next type of glaucoma is the glaucoma associated with intraocular tumors. Secondary glaucoma due to intravascular tumors such as malignant melanoma of iris, choroid, ciliary body, and retinoblastoma may occur by one or more of the following mechanisms: trabecular block due to clogging by tumor cells or direct invasion by tumor seedlings, and neovascularization of the angle, venous stasis following the obstruction of the vortex veins, and angle closure due to forward displacement of iris lens diaphragm by increasing tumor mass. Then the treatment of the glaucoma associated with intraocular tumors is the enucleation of the eye should be carried out as early as possible. The next type of glaucoma is the pseudoexfoliative glaucoma, also known as the glaucoma capsulare. Pseudoexfoliation syndrome (PES) is characterized by deposition of an amorphous gray dandruff-like material on the pupillary border, anterior lens surface, posterior surface of iris, zonules, and ciliary processes. The exact source of the exfoliative material is still not known. The condition is associated with secondary open-angle glaucoma in about 50% of the cases. Exact mechanism of rise of intraocular pressure is also not clear. Trabecular blockage by the exfoliative material is considered as the probable cause. Clinically, the glaucoma behaves like primary open angle glaucoma and is thus managed on the same lines. The next type of glaucoma is a glaucoma in aphakia or pseudophakia. It is a term used to replace the old term of phakic glaucoma. It implies the association of glaucoma with aphakia or pseudophakia. It includes following conditions like raised intraocular pressure with deep anterior chamber in early postoperative period. It may be due to hyphema, inflammation, retained cortical matter, or vitreous filling the anterior chamber. Then next is the secondary angle closure glaucoma due to the flat anterior chamber. It may occur following long-standing wound leak. Then secondary angle closure glaucoma due to pupil block. It may occur following formation of annular synecdoche or vitreous herniation. Then undiagnosed pre-existing primary open angle glaucoma may be associated with aphakia or pseudophakia. Then steroid-induced glaucoma, it may develop in patients operated for cataract due to post-operative treatment with steroids. Then epithelial ingrowth may cause an intractable glaucoma in late post-operative period by invading the trabeculum and the anterior segment structures. Then aphakic or pseudophakic malignant glaucoma. The next type of glaucoma is the steroid-induced glaucoma. It is a type of secondary open angle glaucoma which develops following the topical and sometimes the systemic steroid therapy. The idiopathogenesis, it has been postulated that the response of intraocular pressure to steroids is genetically determined. Roughly 5% of the general population is high steroid responder. They develop marked rise of intraocular pressure after about 6 weeks of steroid therapy. 35% are moderate and 60% are non-responders. The precise mechanism responsible for the obstruction to the aqueous outflow is unknown. The following theories have been put forward. First is the glycosaminoglycans theory, GAG theory. The corticosteroids inhibit the release of hydrolysis by stabilizing lysosomal membrane. Consequently, the GAGs present in the trabecular meshwork cannot depolymerize and they retain water in the extracellular space. This leads to narrowing of the trabecular spaces and decrease in aqueous outflow. The next theory is the endothelial cell theory. Under normal circumstances, the endothelial cells lining the trabecular meshwork act as a phagocytes and phagocytose the debris from the aqueous humor. Corticosteroids are known to suppress the phagocytic activity of endothelial cells, leading to collection of debris in the trabecular meshwork and decreasing the aqueous outflow. The next theory is the prostaglandin theory. The prostaglandin E and F, PGE and F are known to increase the aqueous outflow facility. The corticosteroids can inhibit the synthesis of PGE and PGF, leading to decrease in the aqueous outflow facility and increase in the IOP. Note that maybe all the above mechanisms and or some other mechanisms may be responsible for steroid-induced glaucoma. The clinical features of steroid-induced glaucoma are typically resembles the primary open angle glaucoma. It usually develops the following weeks of topical therapy with strong steroids and months of therapy with weak steroids. Then the management of steroid induced glaucoma. It can be prevented by a judicious use of steroids and a regular monitoring of intraocular pressure when steroid therapy is a must. Its treatment consists of discontinuation of steroids. Intraocular pressure may normalize within 10 days to 4 weeks in 98% of cases. Medical therapy with 0.5% timolol maleate is effective during the normalization period. Filtration surgery is required occasionally in intractable cases. The next type of glaucoma is the traumatic glaucoma. A secondary glaucoma may complicate perforating as well as blunt injuries. The mechanisms of the traumatic glaucoma may develop by one or more of the following mechanisms: inflammatory glaucoma due to iridocyclitis, glaucoma due to intraocular hemorrhage, lens-induced glaucoma due to ruptured or swollen or dislocated lens, angle closure due to peripheral anterior synapse formation following perforating corneal injury, producing adherent glaucoma. Epithelial or fibrous in growth may involve trabeculum. Angle recession glaucoma due to disruption of trabecular meshwork followed by fibrosis. Then management of the traumatic glaucoma. It consists of the medical therapy with topical 0.5% timolol and oral acetazolamide, treatment of associated causative mechanisms, and surgical intervention of the according to the situation. The next type of glaucoma is the ciliary block glaucoma. The ciliary block glaucoma, originally termed as a malignant glaucoma, is a rare condition which may occur as a complication of any intraocular operation. It classically occurs in patients with primary angle closure glaucoma operated for peripheral iridotomy or filtration surgery. It is characterized by a markedly raised intraocular pressure associated with the shallow or absent anterior chamber. It is believed that rarely following intraocular operation, the tips of ciliary processes rotate forward and press against the equator of the lens in phakic eyes or against the intraocular lens or against the anterior haloid phase of the vitreous in a phakic eyes and thus block the forward flow of the aqueous humor, which is diverted posteriorly and collects as aqueous pockets in the vitreous. As a consequence of this, the iris lens diaphragm is pushed forward, intraocular pressure is raised, and anterior chamber becomes flat. The clinical features of ciliary block glaucoma: the patient develops severe pain and blurring of vision following an intraocular operation. And on examination, the main features of the ciliary block glaucoma are the persistent flat intraocular pressure in early or postoperative period, negative Shidel's test, unresponsiveness or even aggravation by myotics. Malignant glaucoma may be phakic or pseudo-phakic. Then management, the medical therapy consists of 1% atropine drops or ointment to dilate the ciliary ring and break the ciliolenticular or ciliovitreal contact, acetazolamide 250 mg QID or 0.5% timolol maleate eye drops to decrease the aqueous production, and intravenous mannitol to cause disturbance of the vitreous gel. Yak laser halodotomy can be undertaken in a phakic and pseudophakic patients. If the condition does not respond to medical therapy in 4 to 5 days, surgical therapy in the form of pars plana vitrectomy with or without lensectomy is required above the when the above measures fail. It is usually effective, but sometimes the condition tends to reoccur. So, a session of secondary glaucoma completes here. Thank you so much. This session is powered by digital version 2.0, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you're satisfied with my session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box. I will resolve it. Thank you so much.